The ice-cold water of the North Sea laps against jagged rocks. Upturned boat sheds sit encrusted with sea salt, and gulls cry out in the sky as they circle the islands in search of fish. Wildflowers and seagrass nod in the breeze. Helleborine, wintergreen, and lurid pink orchids vivid against the muted tones of the sand dunes. Further out, grey seals recline on the white shore, sand coating their fur, gazing up at the endless blue sky. In this video, I wanted to take you to one of my favourite places, the holy island of Lindisfarne. Set on the Northumberland coast, Holy Island is unusual and can only be accessed at certain times. At changing times throughout the day, the tide will come in and wash over the road, leaving it inaccessible and impossible to cross. This means the island is oddly remote and connected at the same time, and for those who came before, it would have been even more so. The island is crucial to English history, as it's one of the key places where Christianity began to spread, and also the place of a harrowing Viking attack that changed the face of the country forever. In 634 AD, the Irish monk Aidan came to live here under the order of King Oswald to convert the people. Oswald had previously sent another bishop, but his conversion was too harsh and he alienated the people. Aidan, however, was gentle and kind, and spread the gospel by walking into villages and striking up conversations with local people, which worked very well. Aidan founded the monastery here and began to spread Christianity. However, this island is more known for St Cuthbert, who came to live here too. Cuthbert was originally from Scotland, but it's said that he decided to become a monk after he saw a vision on the night that Aidan died in 651. He was extremely well loved and was said to have performed many miracles and did a lot of missionary work. And one of the stories that I love about Cuthbert is that he had such a fondness for animals, and he actually passed some of the world's first conservation laws to protect the seabirds on the Farne Islands which surround Lindisfarne. There's a story about a monk following him out one night, and he is stood praying in the sea, and it's said that the otters came to warm his feet, and there's similar stories like this about animals being drawn to St Cuthbert. Later in life, he wanted to become a hermit, so he moved out onto one of the smaller islands around Lindisfarne. When he died, his body was eventually taken all the way down to Durham, where it essentially founded the cathedral and by extension, the city itself. His body now rests in Durham Cathedral. But it wasn't always positive on the island. In 793, the landscape was changed forever when a Viking raid targeted the monastery. This is now seen as the start of the Viking Age. The Anglo-Saxon Chronicle had this to say: "In this year, fierce foreboding omens came over the land of the Northumbrians, and the wretched people shook. There were excessive whirlwinds, lightning, and fiery dragons were seen flying in the sky. These signs were followed by great famine, and a little after those, the same year, on the 6th of January, the ravaging of wretched heathen men destroyed God's church at Lindisfarne." We now think of Vikings as pretty cool, and some people see them as aspirational even. In the gift shops, even on Lindisfarne, you can get cute mugs, tea towels, and all sorts with funny Viking illustrations. But I can't help but think about these gentle, sheltered men of God and imagine the terror they experienced as their holy island was destroyed, their friends literally killed barbarically in front of them. I wonder how many tried to hide, how many were able to flee, did any put up a fight? It must have been absolutely terrifying. Under Norman rule, the monastery was eventually rebuilt, but then was dissolved in 1536 as a result of Henry VIII's dissolution of the monasteries. He wanted to destroy the monasteries so that he could cut the English Church's ties to Rome and therefore basically end his marriage. After Henry VIII suppressed the priory, his troops used the remains as a naval store, and in 1542 he ordered Thomas Manners, the first Earl of Rutland, to fortify the site against a possible Scottish invasion. Taking advantage of the island's strategic location, in 1549 a small fort was built on the high rock. In the 18th century, the castle was occupied briefly by Jacobite rebels, but was quickly recaptured by soldiers from Berwick. In 1901, it became the property of Edward Hudson, who actually founded Country Life magazine, which is still on sale today. He had it refurbished by a man called Sir Edward Lutyens, and it's said that Edward and this architect came across the building while touring Northumberland, and they actually climbed over the wall to explore inside, where they just fell in love with it. We went inside the castle and it is still the way that it would have been in the 1900s, so it still has their furniture and there are excerpts from their diaries and things like that, so you can see a bit of insight into the architect and what he was thinking about the designs and that sort of thing. There's also some kind of semi-unusual stuff about them both being in love with this woman, cellist, by the name of Sujia, and they wrote about her a lot in their diaries, and it's kind of plastered all over the castle now, which might be a bit embarrassing for them if they did know that. But yes, that's history, I suppose. There is still a really active community on Lindisfarne, although it is very small. There are gift shops, pubs, restaurants, churches, cafes. You can also do boat trips around the island to go and have a look at the Farne Islands and see the seabirds, puffins. There is a really big seal population as well, which is just wonderful to see. And when I'm on Lindisfarne, I can't help but just have a sort of magical feeling about the island. There's something about it, the location, the history. There's something to be said for so many people really finding peace and solitude and just a lot of faith and beauty on this island, and I feel like that sort of legacy lingers, even though then there were the Viking invasions and that sort of thing. But overall, I just really understand why Cuthbert wanted to become a hermit here. It's a really, really beautiful place. And it definitely gives you that sort of magical feeling when you're here. Although it's so small, there are so many things to do. You can visit the abbey and the museums, the castle, and you could even spend a whole day just looking at wildlife. There are some very unusual flowers and herbs and things on this island. It's just a very unique kind of magical place, and I feel like that's really apparent when you're here, which is why it is just one of my favourite places in the whole world. It's very close to some other castles. The whole of the Northumberland coast has quite a few castles on there. So we also had a quick visit to Bamburgh, and we didn't get time to go into the castle, though I have been quite a few times. But we did have a walk along the beach and just looked up at the castle, and the sheer magnitude of Bamburgh Castle is just immense, and there are some great stories about this and some folklore actually about Bamburgh Castle, which I will share in another video, but I just wanted to include a couple of clips of it in here just so you can get some idea of the scale of this castle. And the whole of the Northumberland coast has these incredible castles, and it's just a really great place to visit. If you can get the chance to visit the Northumberland coast, I really recommend it. I've also written a long-form Substack post on the Holy Island with some more of my reflections, some photos, and some other things that couldn't quite make it into this video. So if you are interested, that is available for free at the link in the description. Go and check it out, and I hope to see you in the next video.